We are live. Just setting up a few things here. Making sure I can read the chat. Hope everybody is doing well. All right. Got the chat up here. Got the mystery stone right here. I need to make this chat a little bit bigger. Okay. We are good to go. Got the chat ready. So, we got a mystery stone from Africa. This was sent to me by my friend Eric, the Cajun Blade. It's a interesting stone, to say the least, but it is really hard, as you guys can hear. I have a Freedor. Yeah, that's pretty hard. So, I want to test out this mystery stone that was sent to me. No idea about it. I just know it's really hard. It's a honing morning. How you doing, Michael? Hope you're doing well, my friend. It's a honing morning, testing out a new stone. I kind of want to get a baseline, so I'm going to kill the edge on this here on the corner of this stone. How you doing, Rick? That was funny. That was funny. So, we don't have an edge there. I'll do another pass here on the corner of the stone. This is my Chosera 1K. Beautiful stone, beautiful stone. I'm going to set a bevel here. So today I'm going to be working, like I said, on this African stone here in the background. But we got to set a baseline. These synthetic stones are incredibly consistent. And you can see a lot of swarf really quick. Michael, you still doing some honing on that Coticle that we sent you? I need to see some honing videos. Neiman, my friend, how you doing? I feel like it's been a while since I've seen you. Well, that's actually not true. Looks like an African version of Arkansas, only guessing. Yes, Martin, like the way it feels when I'm honing on it, it feels like an Arkansas stone. What you're seeing right now that I'm doing is I have the edge here, and if it does have an edge and it's meeting at an apex, when I put my finger and I move forward, it's quickly going to grab, and the nerves on my skin are going to tell me, don't do that, that is a bad idea. That is something that I had seen being done in knife sharpening before. I think it was Murray Carter. But I saw JPO doing it on razor, and I was like, okay, so you can do that on razors. And it's definitely biting. I have a packing peanut. I wish I had cherry tomatoes. For the initial bevel setting, I like tomatoes more than the packing peanut. But as you guys can see, it's going in. And that is just the 1K being done. You said you're nervous making a honing video, Michael? Nah, you're good. There's nothing to worry about. Just going to do some refining strokes here on the 1K. And we should be good to move to the 4K Hayabusa. This is a very thirsty stone, the Hayabusa. But basically, we just want to start from zero, zero out the razor, the edge, and then see where we end up with using the packing peanut to see if we're going forwards or if we're going backwards. Now, for some reason, this 4K Hayabusa is a thirsty, thirsty stone. I agree. Online judgment is definitely real. But don't ever let that stop you, my friend. I can hear a nice wispy sound. So this stone was sent to me by Eric the Cajun Blade. I believe he does not know the geology on it. And he said it's not a Zulu Gray. I've never honed on a Zulu Gray before, so I wouldn't know. I have done some initial testing when I got the stone, but I wanted to hop on here and just document this, my process that was influenced heavily by Eric and what he does. I might do a few things that are a little bit different from him, but it's still very much the foundation of what he taught me. This 4K Hayabusa is a little bit gummy feeling, but the edge and polish that it produces is beautiful. And now it's not soaking up as much water. Martin says, baby plum tomatoes are the king for edge test. Also using thumbnails as it grips perfectly. I would agree. I love some baby tomatoes and checking that initial bevel set on them. I also use a thumbnail sometimes if I think I have a burr. So right now, if I thought I had a burr, I would go on the nail and just run it lightly a few times on my nail and go back to the stone. What I think that would, in my mind, what I think that does is if there's a false edge or a little burr, it's gonna kind of break it up a little bit. It's gonna weaken it, and then once you go back to the stone, it's gonna break it off apart. And in my mind, you're gonna have a more a better foundation for your edge. Unfortunately, I am in attendance at my place of employment, dropping in a minute to wish everyone well. Take care. Bill, take care, my friend. Today is my day off, so I do not relate. Hope everybody's doing well on this Tuesday evening. It's not morning anymore. All right, I think we have done a good job here. Oh yeah, 100%. Devin, I hope you're doing well. I know we were talking this morning. Still morning over there? 11:20 in Michigan. 11:20 over here as well. All right, I want to see with a packing peanut if we progressed from the 1K, which I'm sure we did. Still has a little bit of bite in there. Doesn't want to go extremely smooth. Oh my God. How is the weather in Germany, my friend? Martin says, you mentioned Zulu Gray. I've got a huge stripped one, but I'm not experienced with it. Didn't light my fire. I've heard a lot of back and forth with the Zulu Gray. Some people love it, and some people hate it. All right. Let me pull out the unspeakable. Because I want to get a view of the apex condition. You're going to see that the scratch pattern looks completely horrible. But I'm not looking at the scratch pattern. And the reason why it looks horrible is because I messed with the microscope and I made it so it zooms a lot more. But I don't get a really good visual on the scratch pattern. But what I do get a good visual is on the apex condition. So, looking at the apex condition here, and that looks really clean, really flat. Yeah. Just going to do a few more strokes on the 4K Haya. And I think we're good to move to the 8K and get a baseline there with a packing peanut. Good afternoon, Josh. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Checking if this swarf right here. Okay, so this swarf comes off with a finger. That tells me it's not getting embedded into the stone. Never really like when the swarf gets embedded into the stone. So, just some X strokes here to clean up the razor. I'm gonna I feel like it's sticking a little bit. It wants to stick, so I'm putting a little O&R there. And I just love the smell of O&R. Whenever a razor starts sticking to the stone itself, that is not a good thing. That will take you backwards, has been my experience. It's like going 100 miles per hour on a speed bump, you know? Colored strips of Zulu. I rarely use a microscope. Yeah. I don't like using a microscope either, for the most part, Martin. I feel like, especially you guys get really attached to the microscope. Eventually, you'll get enough experience where you know what you have to do. You know what to look for, what those cues are. But I see them get super attached to the microscope, the scratch pattern. And they don't even know what they're supposed to look for. So some of them say, well, I don't really know what I'm supposed to feel when I'm honing on the stone, but I can look at the microscope and know if it's doing something good. Well, no. You also don't know what you're looking for when you're using the microscope. And that's just my opinion. Just doing a few stropping strokes here after we left the yeah, the same paddle strap. I need to give this paddle strap some love. All right, packing peanut. So we did 10 on that strap. We did 10 and then 10. Okay. So now I feel like we have that 4K work done. I'm gonna go to the 8K Fuji. These stones are really fast, the Fuji and the Haya, and they perform a lot better. Thank you. I like that they're square, and these pucks kind of interlock with one another. So I really like that. Here on the 8K, I'm not gonna do much. Well, it depends. I'm gonna look at the swarf. If I see a lot of swarf, to me that is an indicator that I need to do more work on the previous stone. But so far, I'm not seeing any railroad tracks. I'm making sure that the apex is engaged on the stone. And I can already feel like it's sticking. And I'm hearing a wispy noise when I'm doing the strokes. So that is around 20, I'm not sure. I don't count anymore as much as I used to. I love the feel of this Fuji 8K compared to the Hayabusa 4K. I don't know why they're different. I would think that the binder that they use would have been the same, but don't want to do too much work on the 8K. Okay. Got the paddle strap. We're going to do 10 over here. Not doing much pressure because I don't want to convex the edge. How to determine if a slate finishes better on water or slurry breakdown. I think if you do the slurry breakdown correctly, you should be finishing similar to on water only. And the same thing applies if you're doing the work that is necessary on water only. On the slate, you should be getting the same edge. The problem is most people that go from a synthetic to water only is they don't do enough work, and what they really do have is a mix of mostly a synthetic edge masked with a slate edge. The slate and the natural stone both have abrasives in it. And since they both have abrasives, you should be doing the same work, which is removing material. Okay, that is keen. Gonna take another packing peanut here. And that is going in really easy. You're so right. I was a newbie once, got hooked on microscopes, wasted hours studying scratch patterns. Swarf pattern is such a good indicator, unless a black arc. Yeah, I would have to agree. Dolomite, what's up, my friend? We are playing around with this mystery African stone. Cleaning up the surface here. It feels glassy. It is really hard, really dense. And for this, I'm going to put some O&R solution because I've tried this before, this stone in particular, and I know that it is a really hard stone. It kind of wants to suck in the razor to the stone. One thing I will not be doing as much with this stone is I will not do too many one-to-one. So I'm kind of going to do half strokes here because since this stone is so hard, I feel like if I move the apex and keep switching it, there are more chances of me ruining the edge. Because since this is so hard, if I do a bad stroke and I mess up the apex, I got to go backwards. It's so hard. Yeah, I would not use an arc with slurry. The arc is an ovaculite, and man, I wish I had more time to hang out. Hey up, chaps, I've got to go. Swimming lessons, make it public, and oh, heck yeah, I'll make it public. So I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm putting the edge in a bad spot. Now this stone is hard like an arc, but when you're honing on it, it almost feels like a little coarse or porous. It doesn't feel smoothie or doesn't feel glassy like the arc does, which is weird. Because with your hand, with your finger, it does feel smooth like glass, but under the apex, it definitely feels like it's cutting. One thing of having a hard stone like this is that I feel like you're going to have a better time not convexing that edge. Sometimes with softer stones, you tend to convex the edge a little bit. Can you guys hear that wispy sound? So you gotta be careful with the pressure that you put. If you put too much pressure on a hard stone, you might mess up the very apex as well. So right here, I want to do some work on the toe of the razor. Rick, thanks for stopping by, my friend. It means a lot. I know everybody's a little bit busy with work, with stuff. So you guys stopping by means a lot. Looking forward to that giveaway that you're doing. See ya, Rob. Take care, my friend. We'll do our 3-hour call later. So I'm liking the way that wispiness is sounding. I like how it's feeling on the apex of my edge. Doing some stropping strokes. Since that felt so good, I think I'm going to strop and leave it there and see where we're at. My good friend Dolomite says, Sean or anyone else have any experience with river razors? Have honed other razors with good results on the Coticle. I have, but can't seem to get good results on the river razor. I have not honed on a river razor. I've heard they're really good razors. Everybody who seems to have one seems to really enjoy it. I think those have really hard steel. So maybe trying a little bit more laps might be a good help. So if you were doing, I don't know if you're doing a dialocot or synthetic progression and then finishing on the Coticle, but maybe try staying on each part of that progression a little bit longer. Because if the razor, the steel being used is harder, maybe you need a little bit more time on the abrasive that you're using for it to do the work that you want it to. Okay. Packing peanut here. And that definitely seems like it improved the cutting ability from the 8K to this. Okay. Let me pull out the microscope here again. Okay, so scratch pattern as usual. Looks like complete shit on this sort of natural. You can see a lot more lines now. Even compared to the 4K, the 4K has had more of a mirror polish than this. So, a new guy coming into this, he's going to say, well, my 4K stone, my Hayabusa, had a better mirror polish. So that means this stone right here is not as fine because the scratch pattern looks like shit. But on the packing peanut test, this one, the African stone, seemed to perform a little bit better. Well, a lot better than the 4K. That is to be expected. And the 8K, it also performed better than the 8K on the packing peanut. And this 8K feels like it is finer than typical 8Ks out there. Excuse me. One thing I'm noticing is, and hopefully the camera can catch it, but now it's not such a straight line as it was before. There's that irregularity of the natural stone abrasive in there, it seems like. Yeah. It doesn't look like a chip. It looks like it goes up and down, a little bit wavy. Like here. So that's interesting. That's interesting. Now, if I go on a lower magnification, surely that would look completely flat. Says, Martin says, sort of porous, no vacuolite. I'd use both hands nearly always, but I love single hand honing on small stones. Thank you, Martin. Have a good one, my friend. Take some videos of you slinging some rocks. Let me check here. Oh yeah, that is cutting. Have a little drink. I'm going to do a few more strokes here just because I'd rather do a little bit more on this stone than a little less. I don't know what type of abrasive this is. Oop, smacked the camera there a little bit. Sorry about that. Definitely feel like it's doing something to the edge there. Gonna focus a little bit on the heel. Which is definitely a part of razors that I see a lot of people not doing enough work. And now I'm gonna try and blend that in with the rest of the razor. This is a stainless steel razor, so it's a little bit harder than usual razors. Oh yeah, I checked for those narrower stones. Just that's gonna be probably one of my next buys. Narrower stones, definitely enjoy them a lot more for razor honing. Feel like it bypasses a lot of the usual problems that a lot of people have. You know, a lot of people are apprehensive or are turned off by manufacturers sending razors that have warp issues, and I don't care where the warp issue comes from, but what I will say is that at some point you have, if you're going to do this long term, you have to get good. This little spray bottle, Tony, that I put on there, that is Optimum No Rinse or OPT. This was sent to me by Sean Griffin, but this was discovered by John or JPO. He's a real smart dude, great honer, and it works wonders. It creates, when the razor starts to stick to the stone, that is the best option that you have to have that slickness, and so the razor doesn't stick and it doesn't bump or it doesn't jump. It's better than soapy water, in my opinion. Oil is good as well, but sometimes you don't want to work with oil, right? Because it's dirty. So that is a great option. Did about 20 there. I'm not going to do too much here. Maybe 20 on this side as well. And I think that would be good. Yeah, still have it, man. I have no idea where that come from. Yeah, Sean, I did dial a cut on the river razor. The edge just seems like it's jagged after I finish. Did you shave with it, or did you not shave with it? Alrighty. So I want to do a test shave with this maybe later on the day. Since we're talking about Coticles here, I'm going to pull out a Coticle. Boom, boom. And maybe I'll do a Coticle to this stone right here. All right, we're going to hone this bad boy up. Gonna kill the edge here. That is 5. Yeah, there's no edge there. See you, Tony. Take care, my friend. Thanks for stopping by. The Coticle edge should definitely not feel grabby. It should feel smooth, buttery. What did you use to check for the... You said it was a little bit toothy or jagged. What did you use to check for that? Did you use like a micro bright or something like that? It looks... Yeah, at that magnification, it should not look... It should not look like that. At that magnification is my experience. When I do 120x or I've done 15x, I've done 80x, 120x. When I go at that low level magnification, it should look like a straight line. Once you go to higher magnifications, like for example what JPO has, or what Greg Gallant has, or I don't have one of them, but I did modify this one so I can get a cleaner, like the scratch pattern on that looks horrible, but I can get an idea of the edge condition. There it should look not grabby or toothy, it should look wavy, and that's because the garnet is a dodecahedron, it's rounded, so it's going to do that, you know? But at that magnification, it should not look like that. You know what I would do? Is I would go, and if you have a synthetic bevel setter, reset everything, and then go to a, maybe not as thick of a slurry on the Coticle. Something kind of like this. And do your dilicot that way and see if that helps. I feel like this is a good amount to set a bevel. And that's kind of what I mean. You can't really trust too much the microscope because different magnifications will tell different stories. A good rule of thumb, Dolomite, is when in doubt, go back to your synthetic bevel setters. That is your building blocks. You know what? I'm gonna, actually no. I was gonna do it in my hand, but no. And I'm not gonna ask what vein or stuff like that. It doesn't really matter. I've had Ligrisses, which are notorious for getting hate from people in the community, and they do just fine, you know. I do find Coticles like a good stropping. So instead of less, do more. And this is probably stuff you've already heard me say before, so if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. I'm not doing dial cut just yet. I'm just setting a bevel. And this stone is a little bit, I'm gonna put some water here. The surface is not super hard, so I'm gonna lighten my strokes. Lighten my pressure. But I do have some good undercut there. Bubbles for me are not an indication of stage completion, but they are nice to look at. Okay. Doing some stropping strokes here. And let me see where we're at. Keep hitting the camera, my bad. So yeah, I feel like it's grabbing. Let me this over here. Ugly, ugly scratch pattern, but that's what I want to see. this up a little bit. For me, that ugly scratch pattern is an indicator that I have the footprint, or did enough work to get the edge I like. I think it's more important to look at the apex condition of a razor than the scratch pattern. But I feel like you also have to understand the abrasive that you're using and how it works. They don't all work the same way. They do abrade metal, but they have different properties, different characteristics. Alrighty. Omni, my friend, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Just doing some razor honing here. Enjoying the day off with you guys. Thinking about it. Never done a live shave before. Add a little hydration there to the mix. I don't have much stubble though. Trying to look and feel for parts of the edge that don't feel like are on par. With the rest of the blade. Dude, upload your shaves, hell yeah. When you do, tag me. I want to see. What do you mean, Jared? Why is Jared on that list? I'm just busting Jared's balls. I feel like maybe I should stop recommending Coticles to people. I've seen a lot of people struggle with them. Don't know if it is that they don't have the right mindset to use them. I do see a lot of times a lot of people not taking the advice. They think they're taking the advice and applying it the correct way when they're not. I like that idea though, Greg. By the way, hope you're doing well, man. Man, I love that last race from Formula One. Very exciting seeing Piastri and Max fight it out for that P1 position, but that car that McLaren has is really, really nice. And plus, good drivers as well, you know? I don't want to take anything away from the drivers. Steven, how you doing, my man? Hope you're doing well. So once I'm done with this stone, I'm going to finish it off on the mystery stone. Because I want to try this out with a... I have that other razor that I honed up. I was honed on a synthetic progression, finishing up on the mystery stone from Africa. But I kind of want to try my usual progression, was the Coticle progression, or Dilicot, and finishing on that African stone and see if there's any difference. I'm sure there will be. Ooh, will you be recording that? I'll be interested to seeing that. I can see why in this community, and maybe it was my inexperience, but sometimes beginners don't take the advice the way they're supposed to. They think they're applying it the correct way when they're not. And there's so much to learn in this hobby that sometimes they might not understand the why of things. So having a 3 system like that one and recommending it to beginner is a great option in my opinion. I'm going to be looking forward to that video, Greg. For sure. That's the one with the Pyrenees, the BBW, and the yellow. So you go Pyrenees for bevel setting, BBW for mid-range work, and from what I've read, that Pyrenees is fairly coarse. So maybe, I'm sure you're going to use slurry on it, but what would you think? Maybe no slurry on the Pyrenees, then slurry on the BBW because it's slow, and then a misty slurry or light slurry on the yellow. Sometimes I finish on a light misty slurry on the Coticle and don't have a problem at all. Yeah. Yeah. I like that, Greg, because it seems like the slurry management is the key to understanding these stones. I don't want to miss any chat here. Omid says, the thing with beginners is they don't watch videos to the end. Not going to lie, honing looks easy, but that's something where experience meets intuition. Yeah, I see a lot of that too. They need to finish the whole video or get in contact with someone that they trust, that they like their edges, and ask them, hey, how do you get those results? And I'm seeing a little bit of hair here. Ask the person, there we go. Gotcha. Ask the person you like how they hone and how they shave. Ask them how they get their results, and try to follow what they advise to the T. Try not to deviate or create a new way of honing, because yeah, these people have a lot more experience than you do. I know my generation and young people can have the tendency of not humbling themselves and not shutting the fuck up for a minute. Sometimes when you're young, you should shut the fuck up for a minute and just listen to those people that know better. I feel like my generation could be in a better place right now if they just shut the fuck up and just listen. There's my little rant for today, and I'm not even drinking yet because it's 12. Yeah, it feels like the slurry, Greg. Less slurry requirement to use the stone is a better place. And I agree, Neiman. The synthetic progression, with synthetics, I really don't struggle that much. I've never had much of problems with the edge chipping apart or getting too thin. I like the way Keith Johnson was explaining it and how he just goes on the 8K, does 20 laps, he's done. If I see swarf, I kind of go back to the stone that was there before. So when I'm at the 8K, I don't like seeing swarf. If I see swarf, I go back and do work on the 4K. And when I jump back to the 8K, usually there's no swarf at all. And that has always given me great results. But everybody's different. Just stick to one person's advice and try to follow it through. If it doesn't work, then go and get advice from somebody else you like, And that is when you're starting out, by the way. I see a lot of people here are experienced, so does not apply to anybody here. Don't want to miss any chat here. Amen to that, Sean. A lot of the younger generations does not listen. Yep. Well, he's kind of been MIA, Steven. I don't know. I haven't seen a video from him in a while. The problem with the Dalicat method is that adherence to one drop of water at a time takes attention away from attention to... Yes. Listen to the razor. Like, if I was honing right now and I feel that the razor is not where it wants to be, like it might be sharper over here on the back, but not here, then I would pay more attention to that and focus on that side and then try to blend it all together once I'm where I think I need to be. But I see a lot of people just not focusing on what needs to be done. Like, the problem that you have is not that you're adding water too slow or too fast. It could be a problem. It could be adding to the problem. But the real thing is that you want to focus on is you want to get this thing sharp, and ideally you want to get it sharp the exact same amount everywhere on the razor. And you really need to focus on what does the razor need instead of what does the stone need, The stone is a tool to get the razor where you want it to. You kind of gave me some mojo there, Greg. Thank you for that. He does make a good strop, Steven. Eric made me a strop of some of that fire hose. And I love that fire hose. Let's put some more water here. And I don't know, when it comes to coticles, if I just naturally am good at them, but I sometimes don't relate with people when they have a big problem with these type of stones. The type of abrasive here is different, but at the end of the day, it's just an abrasive, and you're removing material. It might be at a slower pace, a slower rate, but I'm trying to remove material in a way where my two planes are meeting at an apex, and then I'm refining it and refining it to the point where I like it for the shave. And I'm not looking to compare this type of stone with that type of stone with that type of, this is better, this is that. Um, it's its own unique thing. I just know it's good enough for me, and it's been good enough for a lot of people. I really love this stone right here. The extra space here just makes it really easy to hone a razor. The mystery stone was sent to me by Sean G, but it's been getting passed around by different people. I think Robert sent it to Sean G, but the first person that started sending it to everybody was Eric. He got it from a guy in Africa. This is just some O&R. I'm cleaning up the razor over here. He said it's not a Zulu. So I'm interested to see. You know, there was a time where I wouldn't do half strokes because I was like, oh, straight strokes are the way to go. They make your edge so much better. I don't know, man. I'm liking my half strokes. For finishing, I do like X strokes, but this is just metal, man. It doesn't have feelings. There he is. Just ranting and talking and having fun. Talking about how Max Verstappen is the best F1 racer in the world. No, but in all seriousness, Greg, that Max, I like Max's style. I like that he's confident. But Sean, I'm gonna be using the mystery stone here. Getting some nice wispy action right here. Let me go. Let's switch to the mystery stone. That's okay, man. You've been busy. You've been a busy boy. And I'm happy for you. What we were talking about the other day makes me happy to see everything is going well. Okay, mystery stone here. Yeah, he does. He does. What I'm curious to see your opinion on, Greg, and this is what I was talking to with my partner, is that second seat for the Red Bull team. They just can't seem to get someone that is. And Yuki is great, but I feel like they're going to kick him out soon because he's had like 2 or 3 bad races. And from what I've seen on the series on Netflix, Christian doesn't give. Like, he's quick on the trigger. And I like Yuki. So this is the not Zulu Gray mystery stone that was sent to me by Sean G, which was sent to him by Robert, which was sent to him by someone else from Joe, which was sent to him by, and the list goes on and on. This is from Africa. No idea where. I just know it was told to me that it is not a Zulu Gray. And you know what? Man, I really wish I didn't do that now. Here, I have a Lagris here. She's been passed around. She's a dirty girl. Put some water there. Let's make the transition from the Coticle to the Mystery Stone. I don't know if Eric is going to get mad at me for doing this, but I saw that Joe did a 1-stone hone. For me, when I was using this stone, I had a difficult time raising a slurry with the Atoma because it's just so hard. So if I were to do a 1-stone hone, and I feel like it's a fine stone, so I feel like I'm going to need a lot of slurry to do a 1-stone hone on that. So I feel that if I'm going to do a 1-stone hone, I would either do a Mikawa progression on this, or if I'm going to have a Coticle edge by, well, I could also do this, you know? I never tried a 1-stone hone. I went from a synthetic 2K, then Coticle slurry, then Atoma slurry. Produced a very comfortable and keen edge. And then Greg says they kept Perez in that seat a long time. Oh, yeah. So what you're saying is they're like maximizing the car to fit the needs of Max. I'm going to be on Street Outlaws either tonight or next week. What? Sorry for being an idiot, but what is Street Outlaws? What's up, my man? Sorry for the late party. That stone clicks like a jasper. It's really hard. All I know is it comes from Africa, and it's not a Zulu gray. And I have Coticle slurry here to do the progression. Man, you have quite a collection of cars, Sean. Maybe a Belgian blue from Africa. It's a really hard stone. I feel like that helps. And maybe Greg can apply some knowledge here. You know, I was talking about kids in my generation and speaking and not shutting the fuck up. And that we, as a younger generation, we should probably listen more than we talk. But maybe Greg can help me out here. But since this is a harder stone, the apex doesn't convex as much, right? So since it's a harder stone, it's going to keep that more acute angle. If I had a softer stone, there might be a tendency for the edge to round. Maybe Greg can help me out there. It feels really nice. I've never used a Jasper before, but I know Sean G has. I have no idea what this is, Steven, but it's a mystery stone from Africa, but it's not a Zulu gray. It improved my 8K edge from the... It improved my Fuji 8K edge on the Packing Peanut. And it improved my 5K edge from the... Or my 4K edge from the Hayabusa, but it took a lot longer. So it's a hard... I believe it's a fine stone. It does feel it on to the touch. It feels smooth and glassy, but when I have my razor, it feels porous and abrasive. It doesn't feel like a surgical wood, like a surgical black. Instead of glycerin, I would finish on... I think this O&R solution does a better job than glycerin. But oil for sure. Oil for sure. Gonna do another dilution here. It looks like my Ozuku bench stone. That thing is a beautiful stone, by the way, Steven. I need to get myself an Ozuku. Heard great things about them. Way more mysterious than the ILR. Also, I want to try the ILR. You know, I've heard so many things about the ILR. Okay. Greg says, you can get the same bevel geometry if you pay attention to pressure because you use the spine to set a constant angle. You are unlikely to convex the edge on the stone. So with a softer stone, I would imagine lighter pressure and not digging into the stone would be a way to keep that bevel geometry the same. And thank you for answering my question, Greg. I really appreciate it. I'm getting some nice undercut here. Greg Galland is one of my favorite resources for learning how to navigate this hobby of ours. Yeah, got the razor nerds now. Yeah. Mostly it keeps the apex clean. You're not digging it into the stone. I like that. That little J-Nat that Greg had looked like it gave an amazing edge. What I will say is watching him hone on it, I was like, man, that thing is so small. It felt like you wanted to keep it, but you wanted a bigger hone. And me as a hand honer, I think I would have wanted a slightly bigger one too if I was to get one. The Shobudani, I would say, I've had a Shobudani before, and I liked it a lot. I gave it for free to No Name Bear. All right, Sean, I'm down for it. I'm down for the live tonight. I'm feeling like the heel could use a little bit more work. So I'm focusing on the heel and blending it all together. Because you got to listen to the razor. And that feels a lot better now. Put a little bit ONR here just to keep things smooth. Better. I used to think calf strokes were bad for the razor. Imagine that. Now I like them a lot because I'm not constantly switching the edge, and there's a smaller possibility of me doing a bad stroke because the edge never leaves the rock, you know. All right, that sounds really nice. I don't know if you guys can hear that wispiness. All right, clean off all the Coticle juices that are in there. Put some ONR, just clean African slate here, or whatever it is. I love the smell of ONR. What razor are you honing? This is a Japanese frameback. Yeah, so I feel like there's a smaller chance of me doing a bad stroke if I'm doing these half strokes instead of just constant X strokes. And it makes the work go a little bit faster. It's a little bit, I feel like I can blend things a little bit better as well. Yeah, these Japanese frame mags have some really nice steel, really hard. If you guys have not checked out my friend Safety Cat Studios, he does some awesome videos. He does both DE and straight razors. And his shaving technique is awesome. So please check him out if you haven't. Alrighty. Let me finish off. With some stropping strokes. And I want to see how this bad boy looks under this cheap microscope. The scratch pattern looks horrible. I usually don't use a microscope, but since I'm testing out a new stone, the apex condition looks pretty nice. Now, I'm not really good of a stropper in a paddle strop, so I might be doing this wrong, I don't know. No, just on the big scratches are probably from like a big garnet or something. Because I set the bevel on a Coticle. Oh, what am I doing? I'm doing way too much strokes here. Oh, now I wet this thing. Sean G gave me some nice packing peanut. Oh, nice. Out of frame. Nice. The very tip. that's what I was saying before. Like, I hate when new guys focus on the scope this, scope that, because I've heard a lot of guys say, well, I can't learn how to feel what is happening to the edge of the razor. But how do you know what you're looking at? You still don't know what you're looking at under a microscope. So, I don't know. All right, I might take this to the bathroom. I might not be able to read the chat. Let's do this. I'm going to try to do a shave live. I might not be able to read the chat. This is my little house. My bathroom. And this is me. Let me put on my three-way mirror. Doo-doo-doo. Oh, I think I just broke this thing. There we go. Yeah, I broke that thing, probably. How you doing? I can't read the chat. So I'm sorry about that. I'm just dropping these on the hanging strap, which I feel a lot more comfortable with the hanging strap. And this is the Freador. This is a stainless steel razor, synthetic progression, and finished on the mystery stone. And then we have the what you call it, the frame back. And by the way, this is a shirt. This is my dog. Like I said, I can't really see the chat because now I don't have my monitor. But we'll do a live shave. I'm using my Keith Johnson fire hose drop. Hopefully you guys can listen pretty well to my voice. And now I'm using the leather side. All right. Let's use lavash. So I'm gonna put a little bit of water here. Let that sink in. Let me take take this beanie off because it's pretty hot. Sorry, guys. This was all kind of in the moment kind of deal. Okay, I have a synthetic brush. Let me put this over here. How you doing? Synthetic brush. Getting it wet. I'm taking the water off this thing. And I'm going to load the brush. And it's pretty thick. It's loaded up pretty thick. What I will do is, just because I like it, I'm going to use Goodfellas Smile, Dawn of Glory. I like it, I put it in, and I kind of massage the face. I like how it feels on my face. That's mainly why I don't do the poor man's pre-shave. But you can do the poor man's pre-shave and you'll get a similar result. Probably not that too different, but I like the product of Goodfellas Smile, and I like how it feels on my face. I kind of massage everything in. It would have been better. Let me put my little lights here in the background. Get some, I don't know, more cinematic look. Man, I broke this thing. All right, so water on my face, hydration is king. There we go. I'm not usually a face latherer, but looking at guys like Greg and Eric, I know that my face lather right now is way too thick. That makes me think that they have a more wetter brush when they start loading in the puck. But that's okay, because the only thing I need to do is add more water. I feel like I have a better control of the lather when I do it in the bowl. I feel I can get the same effects of working that lather in the face and getting all the benefits of it if I work the lather enough time on my face. And Eric's soap takes a lot of water, so. And I want it as wet as I can. Almost dripping wet. I feel like I'm close, but I feel like Greg gets it a little bit more wet. You guys might be in the chat saying like, "Yo, you're done, dude. Stop." Which we are. Just gonna leave it there. Okay. Let's start with the stainless steel. Finished on the mystery stone, 1K Chosera, 4K Hayabusa, 8K Fuji, and then we went to the mystery stone. Oh yeah. This is the good thing about making videos. You can get set up. When you're doing it live, you're just like crazy. Got my little sponge here. So and you can see there's some stubble there. I did say I didn't have much growth. But so far, from the 8K Fuji to this, that is definitely a finishing stone. Like it's fine enough to finish. Okay, I have the frame back. This was Coticle Dilicot, and then I was like, wait, let me do the Dilicot on the mystery stone. And here we are. That is cool. Let me put some hydration in here. I feel like I got a little. See, this is why I don't usually do face lathering, because I need Greg to make a video on how he does it, because I like the hydration on his videos. There we go. There we go. Dripping water. Dripping a lot of water. Like I said, guys, I can't read the chat because I'm shaving, but I saw that Devin is there because he has that yellow icon, and I can see it, the yellow icon, and it says unknown. So I wonder who it is. So both shaved. Now I'm gonna do another pass here. Let me just clean up here a little bit because I'm shaving with a straight razor, so I should have some sort of organized a bit, you know? Okay. I felt like this side, which was with the stainless steel, this was the synthetic to the slate, definitely felt keener, but this one was keen, I'm not gonna lie, but this was a frame back and this was a hollow ground. Don't know if that has anything to do with it. There is a chance that it does, and I'm sure it does have something to do with how the razor is going to feel. Same with the stones. If you use a natural stone or a synthetic stone, they're all going to feel different, and they're supposed to feel different. They all have different properties to them, you know, and it's... You just gotta be progressive and accept that we're all different, you know? Putting a little bit more of that Goodfellas Dawn of Glory. I just like massaging it in. And I'm gonna wet the brush. Okay, so I took all the soap out of the brush. I'm gonna soak it in this, and I'm gonna leave some water in there. And I'm not gonna go straight into the tub. And now straight to my face. Yeah. That put me in a better position to the lather that I want, face lathering. Still a little bit thicker than I think what Greg usually has, but it's dripping, man. Oh man, this is dripping like a motherfucker. And it's gonna drip more because I'm gonna add more water. Okay, so these live streams where I'm shaving, I like them. I need to find a way how I can speak with you guys. And do the shave. That's what enough, I think. That is better than what I had before. Okay. You're gonna go with the Freador. That is a good edge. A different edge. Trying to feel where I'm not where I want to be. That's good. Okay. Relathering here just in case. Like I said, I can't read the chat right now, but I wish I could. We'll get that fixed for next time. The bevel set on a Coticle, Dilicot all the way to the finish. Then I was like, wait, let's do the mystery stone, Dilicot mystery stone. Let's go. against the grain. That's good, that's good. Over here. Okay. Man, now I think it's dry. Okay, now it's too wet. Fuck, man, I suck at face lathering. I like when I make the videos because I'm like, I have control over everything. The bathroom is nice and clean. When I end this live stream, this is going to be a cleanup session of the bathroom because there's just water everywhere. But it's a bathroom, so it's supposed to be wet. That has been where I want it to. Let's do the chin area. Someone asked me about, let me do this before I talk. Okay. We're not done yet. So someone had asked me how to go against the grain on the chin area. I think a lot of people don't go against the grain on the chin area or the mustache because it's one of the hardest strokes to do, in my opinion, with a straight razor. One thing for me is for sure, try doing at least your 2 passes before you go against the grain because you want to get it as close to your skin as possible. That way the razor just glides through. Now some beards are so thick, maybe it's a good idea not to go against the grain. Like, is it worth it? Ask yourself that. And if the answer is you think it's worth it, then you do it. I would say if you're going to go against the grain, make sure you have a nice wet lather. You don't want it pasty. And maybe you like a pasty lather. We'll do a pasty lather if you can for your with the grain and across the grain, but when you go for the against the grain on the chin area, maybe go a little bit more wet. Add a little bit water to your brush. Nothing is set in stone. I haven't done an against the grain in the chin area and fool's pass in a while, so you know what? I'm going to take every advantage that I can, so go to strop a little bit. And yeah. One thing's for sure, I am eating soap right now, brother. If the razor doesn't want to go, do not push it, man. It should glide. Do sections first. Go at an angle. You can use two hands if you feel comfortable that way. Move your, put a little bit more love here. For this specific spot. Move your chin, so don't just leave it there like that. You know? Make sure you're stretching it. Use both hands if you need to. For the different areas that you're working on, make sure you're... If I need to stretch in a specific area, try to focus on stretching that area. But you can use both hands. You can use the tip if you have the sharp tip. Let me put more here. If you have a sharp tip, you can use the tip. And that's how I go going against the grain on the chin area. And everybody's hair is different too. Maybe against the grain for you, instead of going straight up, you need to map your beard, but maybe for you, it's like this. Maybe that's the way your hair grows against the grain. And for the mustache area, the same thing. If you're gonna do the fool's pass, ask yourself, do you really need to be against the grain there? If the answer is if it's worth it, then do it. It's your shave. But I will recommend if you're doing a fool's pass in the mustache area or against the grain on the chin, I will recommend you get a wet lather. And you can use both hands. I like starting in the middle. Going up. Yeah. That's it. If you see that you're lathering and your lather is drying up, add more water. But yeah, I don't see too many guys going against the grain because it is a hard stroke. I'm going to say that, and the next videos they're going to put up, they're going to go against the grain. I've seen Greg Gallant do it. I've seen Barber Dave do it. You can start going like in a sideways. Maybe you don't need to go straight up, you know. But that scything motion is a little bit tricky. If you're not used to it, don't do it. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm not the greatest at doing it. For me, I don't know if it's worth it, you know? Because if I get BBS now in the morning, tonight I won't be BBS. So there'll be some stubble there. So is it worth it taking the extra trouble, extra time to be BBS here in the chin area, just so I could not be BBS and then at night? I don't know. For me, the trouble is not worth it. Let me, that was Lavash. I'm going to pair that up with an aftershave splash, but before that, I'm going to put some Witch's Hazel. Unscented. This is always nice. And then we're going to do A&E's, Arlen Evans Sandalwood. I think that's going to go good. That's going to go well with Lavash. Hey, we didn't cut ourselves on our first live stream doing a shave video. Is that JPO? That is JPO. That edge from the Mystery Stone was not as good as my 12K. All right, that feels really good. Not a lot of, actually, like no, the burning from the splash. Nothing at all, which I'm surprised because right here I kind of have like some redness, but no irritation there. Usually I do get redness here because this is my left hand and I'm going against the grain, and I'm still not 100% good with my left hand, just to be honest. I need to get better. I'm kind of drying it up a little bit because now I'm going to go with a little bit of Gator Grease from Eric the Cajun Blade. Just a little bit, not much. That's too much. Gator Grease has a bunch of fats in it. There we go. You know what? I will try. I don't know if I'm doing this right because I just used Gator Grease. But I have some talc here. I feel like I just went to the barber shop. Probably don't put the gator grease. Kind of have like a dry skin, I think. Or after the aftershave splash, put the talc. Alright. So I fucked up my... shit. That is my dog. And this was where I was honing at. And now this thing is crooked. All right. So, did I miss anything? What did you guys think of the edge? Was it good? The edges. Oh, that's awesome. Maybe 10% difference. I don't know. I feel like I'm like 10% behind you in your edges. Maybe in two videos I make in the future, maybe I'll be 99.9% as close to you. Thank you, Robert. Thank you. You know what I can do? Man, I can't believe I broke this thing. Yeah, now I can just hold the phone like that and have a chat. But let me pick my beanie again. Yeah, they sounded snap, crackle, and pop. We'll probably catch up with a chat after the shave, 100%. On my forearm, you mean this? That is not a scar. That is a burn I got because I work at a restaurant and I was working on baking some bread and the bread cart kind of was moving towards me and it actually trapped my forearm against a wall and the cart was just burning me. And the cart was like in an oven for like 20 minutes on 400 degrees, so pretty bad. There we go. I'm gonna give myself a drink. The edges felt pretty good. They were unique. So one of them, I suck at this, but one of them, the one that was on the stainless steel razor, felt a tiny bit keener, but it is also a hollow ground. The frame back felt a lot stiffer, but it felt comfortable. Hey Chris, how you doing, my man? Just drinking a 5-gram sugar prebiotic soda here. Hope you're doing well. So the two edges felt like they were the same stone, but the grinds of the razors were different, so can't compare them. They're different. Don't want to compare them. If somebody in the chat wants to compare those edges and how they looked during the shave, go ahead. You said, I missed all the honing, so I have to watch the honing session to get more context with what you did. I can give you a brief context. The stainless steel Friador, which is a hollow ground, that one was 1K Chosera, 4K Hayabusa, 8K Fuji, and then it went to the mystery stone from Africa. And we did like 100 to 200 laps on that mystery stone. And the packing peanut did get better from the 8K Fuji to the mystery stone. Then I took the frame back, which is a stiffer grind. And by the way, guys, if you have not checked out Chris's channel, He is a good friend of mine, and he is very positive in the community, which we need. I love his content, and I love when he does his shaves with his kid. When I grow up, I want to do the same with mine. The frame back though is a stiffer grind. Um, and then that one I reset the bevel on a Coticle. I killed the edge. Did a dialocot on a Coticle, and then I was on the mystery stone, and I was like, hey, I saw that Joe from Subtle Art did a one stone hone on the mystery stone, so I'm gonna do the same. But I cannot raise a slurry on my Atoma on that stone. I think it's way too fine. So what I did was I took a Coticle slurry and put it on top of the mystery stone, and we got that edge, and I feel like it gave a good edge. I think the difference between the Freador and the frame back, Japanese frame back, is mainly just because of the grind, I feel. But it is what it is. And I think that's it. Got a good shave. BBS. Even BBS here on the chin area, which usually with a straight razor I don't do just because I think it's a hassle. I don't think you need to be BBS on the chin area or on the mustache for me, because in a few hours I'm not going to be BBS anywhere at all. So is it worth it? I'm not sure. But yeah, I think that's it for today. I'm going to have to go on Amazon and get a new tripod. So we'll see. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did want to see the full video of the honing process, this is going to go public afterwards. So let me see. I don't want them. Yeah. Trying to read here the chat previously. If Greg is here, take care, guys. If Greg is here, I'm pretty sure I can send that stone to you, and maybe I can send an edge to you, and you can try it out and let me know if I can become better. What advice you have for me? Maybe look it under the scope, but I'm sure Eric would tell me to pass that stone to you. So, anyways, we can talk about that in Messenger. See you guys. Bye bye.